Despite the $868 million budget hole, several state agencies are asking for increased funding for the 2018 fiscal year. But the request from the Oklahoma Corrections Director, Joe Albaugh, left some lawmakers stunned. Albaugh says he is serious about his budget request, warning that without a major influx of cash, the state could once again find its prison system under the control of the federal courts. Including offenders behind bars and those under supervision, the Department of Corrections is responsible for overseeing more than 61,000 people.
What in the hell are we doing? Is the goal to incarcerate all 3.9 million citizens of Oklahoma?
Oklahoma Department of Corrections Director Joe Albaugh says as of this week, the total number of prisoners housed at state institutions is at 108% of capacity. Albaugh has been evaluating the conditions of the prison system since he was appointed by Governor Mary Fallin 1 year ago to be interim director of corrections.
I am deadly serious. We are sitting on top of a ticking time bomb.
This summer, the Oklahoma Board of Corrections voted unanimously to make Albaugh permanent director. So this has been his first full year to be involved in the budget process. Albaugh's budget request for fiscal year 2018 is more than $1.5 billion.
Our budget submission for FY18 has my fingerprints all over it, has the board's fingerprints all over it. $1.64 billion, and yes, we're serious. We need 2 new prisons. Our population is going to grow at least 25% over the next 10 years.
And Albaugh says the 2 new prisons are needed now.
I have to walk sideways. Now, I know I'm a big guy, but I have to walk sideways to walk down an aisle between these bunk beds. And when you have proximity like that, 8 inches, you're asking for trouble.
Albaugh warns federal intervention could force the state's hands if the governor and legislators don't take action.
I'm always concerned whenever the Department of Justice raises its head in a state. States should be able to take care of themselves without the interference of the federal government.
Has the federal government made inquiries of the Department of Corrections?
I've had a few conversations.
Recently?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you elaborate?
No.
Albaugh says while it would be presumptuous of him to tell lawmakers where to get the money to fund corrections properly, he believes enough is enough.
We need bold leadership. We need men and women, and I know their heart's in the right place, but they have to figure out a way to treat corrections like they do the other core functions of government. I'm a deep believer in treating these men and women humanely. A lot of folks don't think so. Talk's cheap. Action takes money, takes bravery, takes intestinal fortitude.
More than 1,600 offenders sentenced to prison are being held in county lockups because there's no more prison space. The Tulsa County Jail houses some of those state prisoners. Vic Regalado is the Tulsa County Sheriff.
In terms of those waiting to go to DOC that have been sentenced already, I can tell you that currently we have about 76 of those.
And the sheriff says the state is not compensating the Tulsa jail adequately for inmates waiting for transfer to DOC.
I can certainly empathize with the prison system, but at the local level, we face the same things. We are underfunded, and of course, from a budget standpoint, everybody's suffering.
Sheriff Regalado says because of budget constraints, the jail is in dire need of detention officers. At DOC, they are 30% short of the correctional officers needed.
Correctional officers are still rolling out of our system after training at about almost 40% annually. That costs the taxpayers a whole lot of money. County jail backup, it costs the taxpayers about $1.5 million a month to rent those beds. What are we doing?
As for Albaugh's $1.6 billion budget request, well, you can read between the lines when hearing from members of the Oklahoma Senate Republican caucus. Senate President Pro Tem Mike Schultz of Altus says lawmakers will try and hold common education harmless from any deeper cuts, but warned that other agencies should not expect an increase in their budgets.
In keep in mind in the budget process as well, you take our top 12 agencies, they receive 92 or 93% of the appropriated dollar. So if we walk in and we say, well, we're going to hold all of those harmless, we can just about eliminate the rest of the state government and not make up that hole.
With the course that we're on, if things don't change dramatically,
there will be deaths. People will die. And my goal, my solemn promise to myself and to the public is do all I can to make a difference so that does not happen.